Name is Dr. Zubia Ramzan. I'm working as assistant professor of psychiatry department, Dow International Medical College. Today the topic is male and female sexual dysfunction. So next slide. What are the objectives of this lecture? At first, we should able to define the sexual or reproductive dysfunction. Uh, Reproductive and sexual dysfunction is same. Second, our objective that students should be able to understand the different types of sexual dysfunction in male and female, and they are able to manage the patient suffering from sexual or reproductive dysfunction. Last, we will evaluate the myths and misconception about the reproductive and sexual problem in our local cultural setup. So, you can see a picture, it's a wall chalking, and as chat box it's not open, but hope everyone is understanding the picture. It's written in Urdu, Mahir Amraze Poshida. It's the rights of this picture is to the Nation News. So I have just taken that from that Nation News just to tell you that how the problem is arising or the problem is prevalent in our society. That it's written on the walls, Maire Amraze Poshida. It means the person who can see the patients, or he's a person with the sexual problems. Okay. So this is the dilemma in our society, that sexual dysfunction is common, but people are not coming up to discuss their problem because of inhibition. They are not discussing with us. Then sexual dysfunction. Our first objective that we should be able to define the sexual dysfunction. So sexual dysfunction or sexual disorder in which there is a difficulty experienced by an individual or couple during any stage of normal sexual activity. It includes the pleasure, physical pleasure, desire, preference, and arousal or orgasm. So this is basically the stages of the sexual activity which a person is unable to experience, or there is some difficulty. And according to International Classification of Disease, ICD-10, this is the statistical manual for psychiatry. So according to this, sexual dysfunction refers to person inability to participate in sexual relationship as he or she would wish. So as normal sexual activity, a person is incapable of performing or incapable of doing. So this is the simplest definition of sexual dysfunction. Then this is the diagrammatic representation of types of sexual dysfunction. So it's sexual desire or interest disorder. It can be sexual arousal disorder, both in male or female. Then orgasmic disorder, it can be in male or it can be in female. Vaginismus and dyspareunia. Okay, you are unable to see the vaginismus and dyspareunia. Basically, this is the pain disorder which occur during the sexual activity. We will discuss this later on. Now we will talk on the prevalence of sexual dysfunction. This is the very old data that is from USA, that male and female aged 18 to 59 years can experience the sexual dysfunction. According to this study, the prevalence was high in female that report the low sexual desire arousal problem. But in male, 31% report the orgasmic disorder, that is premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction, and some has the desire problem. Okay, we have given the reference to you with the JAMA 99. Now we will discuss the male and female sexual dysfunction and their types accordingly. So this is the pervasive problem that interfere with the men's and women's ability to achieve the sexual gratification, and it causes lots of distress to her. And the symptoms should at least be present for minimum duration of approximately 6 months. So duration is very, very important for making a diagnosis of sexual dysfunction. The duration is at least the patient is suffering from sexual dysfunction, and the duration should be of 6 months. Okay. Then female sexual dysfunction, that in female dysfunction, sexual dysfunction can occur at any stage of life and in certain sexual situation, and in sometimes in all sexual situation, because of their cultural inhibition, because of pressure on them, that they are unable to tell their sexual gratification. So this is the problem in the females. So it's the sexual responsible can also depends on your physiology, your emotions, your childhood experience, your belief systems, your lifestyle, how you are living, you're belonging to a high socioeconomic class or low socioeconomic class, and what is the relationship between your spouse, and how you see your parents as a husband and wife. So it all depends. It will sometimes create problem in the sexual problem. Okay, disruption of any component can also affect your desire, arousal, or satisfaction. So if we are seeing any patient with sexual dysfunction, we usually ask them about their history, about their relationship, about their beliefs. So it's very important to make a diagnosis of patients suffering from sexual dysfunction. Now we discuss our second objective, the types of female sexual dysfunction. So first is the low sexual desire or interest, in which it's very common in female partners that they have low desire or interest in sexual activities, and they are not willing to be very sexual. Okay, so this is the very common finding or prevalence of sexual dysfunction in females. Then comes the sexual arousal disorder, in which their desire for sex it's intact, but female have some difficulty in arousal, or they become unable to arouse during the sexual activity. Okay, they have desire, but they are unable to become stimulated during sexual activity. Third is the orgasmic disorder. Orgasmic disorder, that they have difficulty in achieving the orgasm after sufficient sexual arousal and ongoing stimulation, that they are unable to have their vaginal secretion during the sexual activities. Though students are very confused why we are teaching you this topic, but reproductive health and sex education is very important. As far you are in 4th year student, so you should be able to know about these stages. If a patient comes to you in an OPD, or if a family member having some difficulty, they will ask you about this thing. So at present, being a 4th year student, you should be able to know that this is the problem and which causing much distress to the person. Okay. Then 4th is the sexual pain disorder. We can also cause a genitopelvic pain or penetration disorder. Okay. So it's include the dyspareunia and vaginismus. Okay, and its pain is associated with sexual stimulation or during vaginal contact, during intercourse. So this is specific in female, but more common type is having low desire and interest. I'm describing this dyspareunia as a pain disorder in female, in which a painful intercourse can occur for any reason because of the structure problem or psychological problem, that it can occur in a newly married couple. Okay, so they have problems during intercourse, and the female can experience a pain during intercourse, and when you have painful at some point in their lives, but it's very common in newly married female. So it's if a lady comes to the clinic with a complaint of painful intercourse, so it means she's having dyspareunia. So we have to ask about the dysmenorrhea. If she is having some pain during the menstrual cycle, sometimes this pain, dyspareunia, or lady having the dysmenorrhea, the dysmenorrhea disappear after having the intercourse. So the changes or variation in the female after the marriage because of change in the hormones. So dyspareunia sometimes is very difficult for the female. It can occur before, during, or after the intercourse because it's psychologically that females have inhibition about the sex. So she can have this painful experience during the intercourse, but treatments are available. Psychological help is available to overcome problem. Then second pain disorder which is common in female is vaginismus. Basically, this is the constriction of outer third of vagina due to involuntary pelvic floor muscle constriction and tightening or spasm. It interferes with the, when there is a intercourse, there is insertion of penis, then there is a pain in outer third of vagina. And it can also occur during gynecological examination when you do the pervaginal examination, or you insert the speculum during vaginal examination, or when you take the pap smear from vagina, then the patient having that pain in outer third of vagina. And it also occur by using the tampon in females if they are not using the pads. Now we discuss the types of male sexual dysfunction. This is the second objective, that the student should be able to understand the different types of sexual dysfunction in male and female. So male dysfunction is also common a health problem in men's, and it's very common with the increasing age, okay, because the change in the hormones, and but treatment is available for to help them from the sexual dysfunction. The types of male sexual dysfunction, the common is the erectile dysfunction, that they have difficulty to keep the erection, to maintain the erection. Second is the premature ejaculation, that they are reaching the orgasm too quickly, so they have disturbed sexual dysfunction. Third is the delayed or inhibited ejaculation, that they're reaching the orgasm too slowly or not at all. And fourth, which is not very common, low libido, reduced interest in sex. Sometimes it can be present in depressive patient. And now we will discuss what are the causes of that sexual dysfunction. So they are the psychological cause, and some are the physical causes. Psychological causes, it can occur in newlywed couples, concern about their sex performance because of their anxiety of performance, sometimes in marital or relationship problem, if there is a marital discord going on, and there is if patient is suffering from depression, anxiety, if they have a feeling of guilt, it can cause delayed ejaculation, or it can cause low desire. And what is the experience of a patient during childhood? It's very, very important. If a lady has a history of sexual assault, and a male is a history of sexual trauma, assault, so it's very, very important that they can have sexual dysfunction in their future life. And work-related stress is very, very important, that you are very tired, that you are unable to have that, the biological need of your body. And anxiety is also very important. It can also cause sexual dysfunction. The other cause is the physical cause. So physical cause can be the medical problem, it can be the nutritional problem, it could be the metabolic problem due to certain miscellaneous poisoning, surgeries, accident, substance abuse, alcoholism. If a patient have a cardiovascular disease, he has a habit of smoking, stroke, or diabetes is very, very important, or a patient have multiple sclerosis, or having Tape's dorsalis, blood vessels disease, or if he having the low testosterone level, or if he is on some medication, antidepressant, blood pressure medication, Aldomet, or if a female is using oral contraceptive. The causes is very, very important. At the student level, you should be able to list down the causes of sexual dysfunction, like other disorders. Then this slide is important. What is the neurophysiology of sexual dysfunction? So we will discuss about the monoamines during an erection and ejaculation. So dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, basically these are the monoamines. So dopamine facilitates the erection. Okay, when you are feeling good, if you are feeling during excitement, so your erection increases. And when you are happy, serotonin is the happy hormone. It's have minimal effect on your erection. And norepinephrine have two receptors, alpha and beta receptor. Alpha receptor decreases the erection, and beta receptor facilitates the erection. The neurochemical is acetylcholine, which modulates the erection and ejaculation. In ejaculation orgasm, the neurophysiology, dopamine has minimal effect, but it has more effect on erection than ejaculation. Serotonin has some effect on ejaculation, or sometimes it can decrease the ejaculation. Norepinephrine, alpha receptors facilitate the ejaculation. It's a vice versa, okay? And acetylcholine both modulates erection and ejaculation. Now we will discuss the disorders, that what causes the problem in that types of the sexual disorder. So hyperactive sexual desire disorder, it's common in women, that the desire is low. So what is the causes of this problem? That might be problem in the relationship, they have discord, and they have religious teaching, long-standing inhibition, they might be suffering from depression, or some endocrine or metabolic problem, that their sexual activity is not according to their needs. So we have a myth that androgen increase the sexual activity in men. No, it do not increase the sexual activity in men, but small doses of androgen can increase the sexual activities in female. Because of testosterone, androgen do not increase that activities, okay? But female do not have that level of testosterone like males have. Then male erectile disorder, which is caused at impotency. So in that patient have a primary problem or secondary causes. That primary, they have low desire, low interest, and they have a performance anxiety as a newlywed couple. Sometimes the erectile disorder can be caused by secondary disorder, that is common in high ages, middle ages, 40s, 50s and above. And because of loss of interest in partner, as the age increases, they have other works to do. And because of psychiatric illness, organic problem, diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia can also cause this erection problem. Then organic disease, we will discuss more on organic disease, that hyperprolactinemia. As dopamine blocker drugs like antipsychotic can increase the prolactin. So the sexual activity will decreases sometimes in a patient because it decreases the testosterone, and it can cause erectile dysfunction. And hypotestosteronism, if patient having some problems in testes, and because of low testosterone, they can have erectile problem. Diabetes can also cause erectile problem, and it's the commonest cause of erectile problem in organic disease. Further, the erectile disorder in males is vascular disease. It's the Peyronie disease, in which there is a scar tissue over the penis, and which causes very painful erection because of decreased supply, arterial supply, and because of venous blockage, venous leakage. So there is a vasodilation. Okay, so it causes the very painful erection in the patient. But it's not commonly seen as a case of sexual dysfunction. And last, we have second last, how will you manage the cases with the sexual dysfunction? First, we manage them psychologically, then we manage them pharmacologically. First, history is very, very important. Being a fourth-year student, the student should take a very brief history, detailed history of a patient, where this problem is occurring, for how long it is occurring. And we have to, if a patient is married, we have to interview the couple separately, or we can have them together, and to assess the nature of the problem. And we have to assess what is the cause of that problem, and how to improve that problem. What is the strength of that person that we can improve him? And we have to ask about the stages of the sexual activity, what about the frequency, masturbation, its sexual fantasies, and feeling of arousal. And we have to assess about their personality, and about their anxiety, and their about the belief system. So it's very, very important about their past experience. So history is very important in management of sexual dysfunction. It can be impotency, it can be erectile ejaculation problem, it can be desire problem. So disorder of sexual orgasm in female, what is the common cause? That the female have a fear of being pregnant, so they can have that orgasm problem. And they have fear damage to vagina, especially in a newlywed couple. And due to religious belief, because of cultural inhibition, they might have a guilt about sex, cultural inhibition, and they have improper sex education. So they can also cause that problem. And poor sexual technique by the partner. This is very, very important, that male partners have poor sexual techniques, and they're applying on their spouse. And because of this, sex education is important. It's for healthy sex activity, and it's very, very important for couples to know about the right way of doing the sex. And lack of affection by the partner, if there is a dislike by the partner, then they have unable to achieve that orgasm. Sometimes they have psychiatric illness, depression, and stress related work. They are very tired, they are unable to have that sexual activity. Then last is the medication effect. If a person is having oral contraceptive, or is on antihypertensive drug or other drug, which can causes that orgasm problem in that female. In male, the sexual orgasm problem, premature ejaculation or retarded ejaculation, it can be due to some medication. It can be due to diseases. And how will we treat the different types of sexual dysfunction? So first we can treat with the psychological approach, then is the pharmacological approach. If a person comes to us with a premature ejaculation, that we treat with them psychologically. First, we have to inform with the consent of that male spouse, we have to understand, you have to tell them about the squeeze technique, how he can squeeze his penis to stop that ejaculation. And we have psychoeducate them about the start and stop method with the help of psychologists and with the help of psychiatrists. Semi-sleep approach, that he has to sleep and then wake up so that he can control his ejaculation. Then tease technique, that he can stop himself to control the premature ejaculation. Then there are other pharmacological treatment available for premature ejaculation. It's tricyclic antipsychotic. So tricyclic antidepressant, this is the very oldest antidepressant available, which can help patients suffering from premature ejaculation. Other treatment are available, but this is more commonly used for premature ejaculation. TCA, it's the tricyclic antidepressant. Now, the last is the objective to evaluate the myths of sexuality in our social cultural setup. So it's the cultural bound syndrome. Basically, it was done in 50s and 60s, 90s, 50 and 60, that cultural dysfunction is influenced by the culture, especially in the Southeast Asian countries, that we are more concerned about the sexual dysfunction as compared to male in Western countries. So International Classification of Disease has included this as a culture bound syndrome because of commonly presentation of patients in multiple outpatient clinic. So in subcontinent, cultural influences, and it's called the Dhaat syndrome, in which patient has a perception that semen is lost in urine and it's causing distress to them and making them very weak. So it's a sexual advocacy is a hallmark of masculinity and personal advocacy in the male, and it's very, very important in our Southeast Asia. The Dhaat syndrome, it's a condition which is commonly found in South Asian population in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, that male patients suffer from orgasmic problem, premature ejaculation, or erection problem, and they consider them that they are impotent and they are passing semen in their urine. And the condition has no organic, no pathological cause. Everything, patients, all labs are within the normal limit, but the patients have a strong belief that they are passing semen in their urine and it causes very much distress to them. So as I told you, that was started in 1950 and 60 as a So it's a perception, their upbringing, what they have received from their society, that what they have teaching in their society, in their culture. So they have their experience from their parents, they have experience from their family, and it's a misconception and it's a myth. And this sex education, and we are telling you about this problem, that this is not any disorder, it's a patient perception that they are losing something in their urine, and we can help them with proper sex education and relaxation techniques, psychotherapy, to improve their perception about their myths and misconception. Okay, and with the literacy rate, with the proper sex knowledge, and with the change of family orientation about the sex education, can improve this perception. Okay, I have taken this lecture from the Kaplan Book of Psychiatry. It's a Kaplan and Sadok Synopsis of Psychiatry. It's 11th edition, and you can read it. It's available on online. The pages is from 575 to 93. So this is a very comprehensive book. If you are interested in psychiatry and you want to have some knowledge about psychiatry or about any disorder, you can go through these books. It's a very beautiful book, good book. We can read very easily with a good English and very understanding book. Thank you. So our objectives were 4, that the student at the end of lecture should be able to define the sexual reproductive dysfunction and able to understand the different types of sexual dysfunction in males and female. And they should evaluate the myths and misconception about the reproductive problems. So those who have joined just now, so it's according to ICD-10, sexual dysfunction, it's a person unable to participate in the sexual relationship as he or she would to wish. So this definition is important, and we quickly go through the types. If you want to remember the few types, so these are the graphical presentation in which there is a desire, arousal, orgasmic, and dyspareunia and vaginismus. Okay. This is the type of sexual dysfunction in female: low sexual desire, sexual arousal, orgasmic disorder, and sexual pain disorder. Types of male sexual dysfunction is the erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, delayed or inhibited ejaculation, and low libido. Okay, I want to tell you that delayed or inhibited ejaculation is more common in SSRI. SSRI is the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. As fourth-year students have done their psychiatric rotation, most of them have done their psychiatric rotation, or they might be coming to the psychiatric rotation in future. So antidepressant, especially SSRI, can cause sexual dysfunction. Tricyclic antidepressant is helpful in premature ejaculation. We are treating patient with tricyclic antidepressant, but sometimes antidepressant SSRIs or SNRIs, but especially SSRI, can cause delayed or inhibited ejaculation, which is the cause of sexual dysfunction. So antidepressant, antipsychotic, mood stabilizer, these are the important. Okay. Causes is very important: physical causes, psychological causes. Monoamines is very important in sexual dysfunction, erection, and ejaculation. Okay. And history taking is very, very important. Okay, so we ask about the knowledge, their past experience, or anxiety about sex. It's very, very important. And that syndrome is very important. It's a misperception, misconception in our cultural that they are losing semen in urine, but there is no pathology, no organicity. Okay, thank you.